gonna go there?
Man, I have been a Padre fan since I was 4 years old. It's time for a change. I know we're not supposed to talk about politics, but this ain't politics. I hate Dodger fans, unfortunately.
If there's one thing worse than politics, it's baseball.
Oh man, you want to talk about hockey and how Orlando or Tampa Bay lost last night, which it should have won.
Thank you. You got to talk hockey for Marcel.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I don't recognize any of these teams. You know, none are from Canada. So
how about football's back? Woohoo! Football's back.
Yeah. Well,
for some,
you should know better. We're Dolphin fans.
Yeah.
Football.
Well, there are a few other
20
teams.
Years.
But yes, we pretty much did suck on Sunday. You're right.
Yes.
A lot of the games are terrible. A lot of the games are terrible.
Well, they haven't had any preseason, and they barely had real practice and stuff. So it's to be expected, I guess. Yeah. But
the Chargers,
all of these sports are a little watered down at this point.
Yeah, the Chargers and the Rams won by luck, by all means.
Any tennis fans out there?
Did you like it?
Men's final on the U.S. Open was
the men's final was outrageous.
Oh my God, that was outstanding. Oh.
Yeah.
What about Djokovic accidentally hitting somebody with a putt, getting actually ejected from the U.S. Open? That's like never happened.
It has happened.
Crazy.
Dave, it has happened many, many times. If you have bad behavior, they have very specific rules of what you can and cannot do, and acting out is not among them.
Yeah. Did you guys like the interviews after? Did you guys like the interviews after? We did it all virtually with CT and NEP. Everything.
You were in them, Chris? Cool.
Yeah, we did all that.
Stop with your shameless plugs.
Oh man, I'm plugging it, man. Ours guys had to be in a bubble for 6 weeks, and our guys down at NBA are still in the bubble. Poor guy. Yeah, poor guy.
Speaking of NBA, the Heat did very nice last night as well.
Yes.
I saw that.
Hey, cheers to Marcel. Congrats on the new Gear Source venture. I'm going to get the ball rolling. Cheers to Marcel.
Thank you.
Oh, shameless.
Yeah, I was just getting rid of the shameless.
There,
you know.
Yeah, shameless.
No, thank you, Marsha. It's been well, that's why I'm in the so here's a funny thing. So I'm going through this whole process with our team to get this thing launched, and you know, I was up till, I don't know, 1 or something. And I think Claudette was up later than that, along with some of our dev team. But my air conditioning, so I have 2 air conditioners in my house, and one didn't go out yesterday. Both of them did. And so I don't even know how this is possible. It's never happened to me. I've been in Florida 30 years, both air conditioning units to go out on the same day. And of course, I didn't notice they were out until about 7 o'clock. So to get someone here is A, an act of God, and B, you know, more money than I feel like spending. So I was sitting in, you know, a wife beater shirt and shorts until 1 o'clock in the morning, dying. And my 16-year-old son, of course, who doesn't understand there is life without air conditioning. And so, yeah, and then went all the way through today. He just left. The guy just left like 15-20 minutes ago, and it's cooling off, thank God. So it's been a fun day.
Oh, such hard life.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for anyone who's never had a major software launch, you know, and we've had several, this one being the biggest one, because basically it's a completely new database, it's a completely new everything. And so we had to import 27 or 28,000 users. How many listings? 40,000 listings, 40 something thousand listings, was it?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
And then everything had to magically work. And so some of it did, but I would say that more didn't work than worked for the most part. You know, the tax system that has to work, of course, taxes are kind of important, I've heard, didn't. That decided not to work this morning. And so, you know, it's been an interesting day, but at the end of the day, I mean, really for us, it was a massive, you know, for Google or somebody, this wouldn't have been a big deal. You just put another 1,000 people on it and it goes away. But for us, it was a pretty big deal. And end of the day, it's working. So it's a beautiful thing. Is David Milley here? Because I don't know if anyone knows, but he got a relatively direct hit from that hurricane.
Oh, no.
Last night / today. I've
I've been on the phone with him all day. My boat is there at his dock, and he's doing pretty good. I've been on the phone with him for a few hours today.
Yeah, he sent me a bunch of pictures. That's probably your boat that he sent me pictures of, then, with the boathouse falling on top of it.
So that's the one directly next to mine.
Okay.
Mine actually came through unscathed, believe it or not.
Wow, good for him. Yeah,
But
and good for him as well, because from what I understand, his house is not damaged. It held up.
yeah,
even
did
though
pretty
most
good.
of his neighbors lost roofs and stuff, right?
He has 2 cars that got flooded, so that was the big deal, and part of his downstairs is flooded. But
Are those
I
the
think
2
he
cars
did
that he's been trying to sell on OfferUp for like the last 6 months? What a coincidence. Dave would never do that.
Dave's probably on here, and I'm gonna say something I don't mean to say, but you know, when you get retired and you get your house and you get your cars, something like that can be very traumatic. So I think they did pretty well, all things considered.
Yeah. No, it's obviously Dave's a good friend to most of us. So the fact that he was unscathed is important.
Actually,
Eric, you have a different background. Where are you?
Welcome to LaGuardia Airport's Terminal B head house.
I thought I recognized it.
Yeah.
Nice.
Where are you?
There's almost nobody here.
It's amazing that you're flying. It must be a very well-paying gig.
I'm not flying. It's a very well-paying gig where we get to design the Terminal B head house.
Is it the waterfall?
Yeah, we're designing projection content for the water attraction behind me. So.
Yay.
And it just ran. I have no idea when it's going to run again. We have, renderers and stuff. So.
Well, maybe we'll get to see it.
Yeah, let us know if it comes on, and I'll make sure that on my screen, anyways, you're up on the full screen so I can catch it.
Yeah, I'll let you know.
Before we go to Michael, can we say happy birthday to Bob Harmon?
Of course we can.
Happy birthday.
Yes, absolutely. Is he here?
Happy birthday, Bob.
Happy birthday, Bob.
Happy
Another
birthday,
Virgo.
Bob.
Oh, there he is. Hey, Bob. Who wants to sing?
Virgo,
Come on.
Happy
We
birthday.
can't sing all at once because of the latency. It'll sound ridiculous, but somebody better sing to him. David, David Barber, you must have an incredible happy birthday voice.
You are misinformed.
Marsha, you can do it.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Bob, and all the other Virgos out there. Happy birthday to you.
Oh, that was perfectly treacherous, Marsha. Thank you.
You're very welcome, Marcel. My pleasure.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So speaking of Mr. Strickland, I know he's just dying to tell his story again today, but the reason that I wanted to make sure that Michael was here with us today is I've had a lot of personal, quiet side conversations with a bunch of the people that are on this call right now. And some of you have given up hope for yourself in some cases and said, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm just screwed. And I'm never going to make it out of this. Or you've given up hope for your business, which, isn't maybe as horrible as giving up hope on yourself, but, or you've given up hope for your state, your country, your whatever it is to provide any support or anything. I'm not sure why that for some, Michael's emails this week have seemed worse than normal from a standpoint of just desperate. They're bad. The government's horrible. They're not going to do anything. I don't think the government personally has become any more useless this week than they were last week or 5 years ago. They've always been relatively useless when it comes to most of these things. And, but honestly, in some of the emails that I've read from Michael this week, if you read between the lines a little bit, and maybe I've spoken personally with Michael a little more this week than some of you have, but they're actually not that desperate. There's a lot of arm wrestling going on. There's a lot of political bullshit going on. And so, I wanted to make sure that Michael came here to help, all of you and myself included to sort of shuffle through some of that bullshit and make sure that we all understand what really is happening. So, you know, with that, I'll shut up.
Thank you, Marcel. That was a good lead in. And I want to again thank everybody on this call. 90% of you are in my world directly. 90% of you communicate with me directly almost on a daily basis, and you know who you are. And I want to thank everybody for all that you've done. Again, especially those people in the media for being phenomenal and putting up the call to actions and all the other stuff, because that's a large part of how we get out and how we get the word out. What I've always tried to do, and I'm still doing, is telling you the truth, and I try not to put an opinion in there, and when I do, I put the word, this is my opinion. But where we sit now is sort of 10, 12 days away from the end of this session. And as I told you yesterday, which trails back to 3 weeks ago, if you remember, I gave you a script that there was the $2 trillion bill, and it was not even going to be voted on in the Senate. And then they came back with the $300 to $500 billion bill, and that was never voted on. Then came the 1.5 that I told you about 3 weeks ago. Well, that's not, you know, that got voted down in the Senate, who are the people that introduced it. And now they're going to move to 1.75. I mean, they're still following the script that I gave you 2-3 weeks ago. And I warned you when I gave you the script not to get lost or confused or discouraged, because that's what politicians do. They posture. And that's what's going on right now. Do I know definitively how it's going to end? No. But what I do know is that I talk every day, all day, to 16 different senators and or Congress people, and to their staff, and to now 4 sets of lobbyists. And it's kind of like taking the temperature. And because people on one side, you know, Republicans talk in Republican echo chambers and Democrats talk in Democratic echo chambers. And quite often when I'm talking to one or the other, I know more than they do, because they don't dare talk outside their own echo chamber. They don't tend to talk to one another. So oftentimes I'll have a piece of information that one side doesn't have. And I've sort of become a source of information for some of those people. But where it sits today, if you remember on yesterday's email, Speaker Pelosi came out with that statement that I glued into it, that you know, said she was willing to get a deal and was going to hold the House. Well, what I didn't put in the email is what that means. Basically, they're going to break at the end of this session and go home, and they're going to be on what's called a callback, which means in 24 hours they can be called back. And if you remember, that's what happened to them 2 weeks ago over that post office issue. They were all at home and they got called back on the Saturday to vote on that post office funding. So they're not actually going to stay in Washington, D.C. They're all going to go home, but they can be brought back in 24 hours. Again, don't let that confuse you. Now, we all hope and we all pray that before they break, they get this done. And just before this phone call happened, actually 4 hours ago, the president tweeted out that he was disappointed in the Democrats and that the Republicans needed to chump up some more money. So he kind of went at both parties. Well, just moments before this phone call started, Speaker Pelosi came out and publicly said that they believe they can work something out. Meadows came out, which is important because Meadows is in the room, as they say. And Mnuchin came out, and now they're both talking 1.5 to 1.7, and that's a big move. I did not think that would happen today. I thought the move to 1.5 or 1.7 would happen Thursday or Friday, but they have verbally come out just moments ago and said, well, yeah, we can do that. Here's what's happening, and when you get off this phone call, you can go Google it or whatever, however you get your news. Right now, both sides of the aisle, Democrats and Republicans, are extraordinarily frustrated with their leadership, extraordinarily. And without placing any blame on either side, all 435 Congress members are up for re-election every 2 years. So they're all up for election. Some 220-ish are afraid they might not be re-elected to Congress. Every freshman congressperson is scared to death, and the reason is, as I've shared with you before, if you're elected to Congress, to the House 2 times, you get 80% of your salary for the rest of your life. And right now the salary ballpark's $174,000 plus health insurance. So all those freshman Congress people have got to get over this hurdle of that second election to get 80% of $174,000 for the rest of their life. So those are the most nervous people. I don't care what party they're in. If they don't get reelected, they don't get 80% of $174,000 for the rest of their life. And that's an extraordinary motivator. The rest of the people simply want to stay in the game because if you haven't figured it out, it's fairly lucrative to be a congressperson or a senator. If you know any of them, go talk to them. Most of them that spend lengthy careers and retire have $3, $4, $5 million in what's called their war chest, and they can convert that to themselves. And what they can do is pay their children, they can pay their husband, they can pay their wife, and bottom line, they've got this ginormous pot of money that they can go off into the sunset. Now, bear in mind, they've also got 80% of their salary for the rest of their life, plus free health insurance. So it's not like they're hurting, but the point is, the end game to most of these politicians is financial. So right now, their biggest stake in all of this is to stay in office and to get reelected and continue to build their war chest. That's what the game is to them. Any conversation that they actually care about us or anyone else comes second, third, or fourth on the list. And I don't mean that ugly toward them, it's just the truth. So what's happening now is that both sides of the aisle have blown up in the last 5 days, but particularly in the last 4 hours. And Speaker Pelosi is getting extraordinary pressure from her own people to get a deal done. Meadows is getting extraordinary pressure from his people to get a deal done. The odd thing is the president just tweeted an hour ago, get a deal done, spend more money for God's sakes. So the willingness on the part of the White House is there. I think they're going to move to the 175. I think it's going to end up somewhere between 175, 18, somewhere in that area. Speaker Pelosi is still dug in, and this is not a political statement. This is a factual statement. Speaker Pelosi still believes, and I think correctly so, that the damage to the president, should there be no bill, will be far greater than the damage to anyone else. So that's the reason that she's dug in, and that's not an opinion. I've gotten that from 4 senators, 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats, and then from 2 people that know Speaker Pelosi personally. So she is dug in because she believes the damage it will do to the president is far greater than anything else, and she puts that in the pole position. You have to back up now and understand that her own party is coming at her viciously, and you'll see that tonight in the news probably, because again, they too want to be reelected. She has indicated a willingness to come below $2.2 trillion, which again is why I think that they're going to end up around 175, 18. Now, there's no guarantees of that. The other tricky part in that is what's in there. And I won't bore you with all the other stuff, but I've been told by everybody it will be some version of Restart. And remember, Restart will give all of us 45% of last year's income. And the forgivable piece will be what you spend on people and employee-related items and rent and utilities and mortgage interest and interest on notes that you had before this all started. So there's a pretty big swath of things that they would forgive it for. Having said that, I don't know exactly how much of it, nor does anyone else. Senator Young and Senator Bennett, who wrote it, who I've been speaking to, they don't know how much of that will be lifted and put into the new bill. What you have done in yesterday's call to action, if you did not read it, we're urging the House and in turn the Senate to pass a clean bill. And what that means is vote on Restart just as Restart. Now, the odds of that are very, very, very slim, but we've asked them to do that. So, I do believe right now the odds are better than not that we'll get a relief bill. In the worst case, it will be 10 more weeks of PPP, which is good for about 40% of the people in this industry. For you freelancers, 40% of, the 10 weeks of PPP, again, is something you can reclaim and write off. And for businesses that doesn't work, you do need the restart bill to holistically get you through. Now, I'm not saying which one's going to be in there. Everyone's telling me it's going to be some version of restart, but we're not sure of that. The liability issue still seems to be the muted liability that has that phrase in it, absent gross negligence. I don't think that's going to change. I think that's going to stay exactly where it is. And the issue of the enhanced unemployment, it is many people's belief that they're going to put the enhanced unemployment in at $600 a week. So that's kind of where it sits. The most important part is, and I've had this conversation all day long, is two things. Number one, don't give up. You know, as I put in yesterday's letter, you don't lose till you quit trying. And we've got to do that. We've got to do that. We cannot give up. We've got to fight right till the bitter end. Don't pay attention to what you hear and to what you read. I'm having so many conversations every day. That's all just political posturing to see who blinks first. Now, is it possible that they don't get anything done between now and the end of this session? Certainly it is. Would they continue to work toward a solution across October? Yeah, they can do that remotely as well. Could they get something done across October? Sure, they could. But right now, my gut tells me that the political pressure is bad and getting worse. And when you had the president come out today with his chastising the Republicans to spend more money, when you have Pelosi coming out publicly saying she'll move down a little bit, and then when you've got all of the people, both sides of the aisle, just eviscerating leadership on both sides, it feels to most educated people that they are going to get something done. So that's the first thing, is do not lose faith. The second thing is, and I've had this conversation and I put it in writing, I know it seems redundant. I know you think you've sent 14,000 emails to these people, and indeed you have. Don't stop. Please do not stop. And when you get that email, send it to friends, send it to buddies, send it to people not in the business, because when they get an email, they do not know if you're in or not in this business. So you've got to keep sending these things. I know that it seems redundant. I know that it seems stupid. I know that you think, well, Lord God, I've done that a lot. The weight is in the volume of the touches. And you know, I've got one more play left, and all of you are going to get an email from me, and this is going to be the ultimate piss off the legislators email, but not in a bad way. I have captured, and I think I shared this before, I have captured all of the senators, chief of staff, and legislative directors in the body of an email. I'm going to send those to you in the body of an email, probably, if not Friday, Monday. I'm going to send those to you in the body of an email. That'll be on the top. Below that will be a real brief email basically saying, you know, pass, restart, or else, in a pleasant way. What you will have to do is copy those addresses and then go paste them into the blind copy on your email. It's very important that you put them in the blind copy, because they have software that will reject an email if you put all 200 addresses in the to slot. It just kicks it out. But it can't read the blind copy, because all they see in the blind copy is the one. So I will send you this, and then you'll have to do two things. One is copy and then paste into the blind copy, and then get rid of them. You know, get them out of the body of the email. And I'm going to make them a different color so that, you know, you get rid of the red. And what will be left will be a very simple letter. And then when thousands of people get that, either Friday or Monday, and hit send, believe me, the senators will get the message. And I've held off on doing that all of this time, because if you remember back a month, 6 weeks ago, we actually sent you all those addresses. And for those of you that saved them, you still got them. And you all hammered them. And that's when I shared with you that they came to me and went, stop, stop. That's my telephone. My wife calls me on the phone. You're pissing me off. Well, at this point, I don't care. At this point, this is something we're going to do either Friday or Monday, because to get several thousand emails on your phone gets the point across. And so that's going to sort of be the last play on this. I'm holding off on it, but that will sort of be the last big push, because when you do those things where you fill in the blank thing, it only goes to your legislators. So if you have 20,000 people sending emails, they go to across all the legislators. So this will be a heavy hit, say either Friday most likely or Monday. I'm not sure which. I've got to gauge the temperature. But again, at the end of the day, don't give up hope. It is following that script that I sent you. I do believe they're going to do something. I can find no one, including Young and Bennett, who wrote Restart, that know for sure what elements of Restart will be in there. And then the last piece is, do not get confused, do not get upset, do not get concerned because you see or hear about other bills. In fact, there was a bill that just dropped last week. I don't remember the name of it. Dawn, D-A-W-N. It's I forget what it is. Some segment of our industry. But you've got Save Our Stages, and you've got P4. You've got all these different bills that are out there. Those bills are all pushing in the same direction. They're all pushing for more money for our industry. So don't be worried that they're going to pick and choose one over the other. This is money for small business, and it's for all small business, which goes outside of our chamber. But if they keep it like it is, you've got to have a 50% revenue reduction, which would mean pretty much all of entertainment would be in there. And then the individual companies across the nation that, for whatever reason, have ended up in a very, very bad spot. So, and bear in mind something I told you earlier, the restaurant people are still pushing to have that threshold drop to 25%, which would absolutely kill this entire thing in its tracks. Because that would drive the CBO budget number to $800-900 billion, and it just wouldn't work. Again, I'm being assured they're not going to drop the threshold below 50%. So that's where we are. It is still very much alive. I know it's frustrating, and they're very, very big people within our industry that I'm engaged with, working at extraordinarily high levels. People that can pick the phone up and call Nancy Pelosi. They can pick the phone up and call Mark Meadows, and they do. And so they're engaged, but they don't want their names out there. They don't want people to know what they're doing. And inversely, just as many of you have told me things that you don't want shared, I'm working directly with a lot of people that have inroads to these legislators that don't want their name known or what they're doing, because they would then be outed. And so that's kind of where we are. I hope that uplifts you and gives you some hope. What do I think will happen? I think by the end of next week, which will be the 25th, would be the date that they would theoretically come to some kind of an agreement. But I will never deceive you. If I absolutely positively know that it's not going to happen, I will tell you. Indeed, I got told last night by 3 different people it was over. It's not going to happen. And they were wrong. They were absolutely wrong. So it is still very much alive. And with that, I'll shut up and take questions.
Thank you, Michael. That was amazing. So, I, for one, I'm still stuck on this, they're collecting $139,200 for life. And they really have no incentive to do a great job other than to get reelected. So, this is what we need to understand about these politicians. People fight over, this one versus this one. And at the end of the day, this is what they're fighting for. It's not for what's best for us. It's what's best for them to collect that $139,200 a year for life, including health insurance, by the way, plus health insurance, I should say. So, this is, in my opinion, something that we need to fix in our system. But yeah, thank you very much for that update. So I'll shut up and please, people, ask Michael questions.
it would be very difficult to fix, Marcel, and you and I have had this conversation, because who would have to vote on changing that system? Well, the 535 people in Congress would. Do you think they're going to change it? Nah. They work too hard to get there. And once
That's
they
the
get
problem.
once they get in, it's a lifetime club. And I got a lot of friends that serve in Congress, and one of them you've heard me talk about before, Jimmy Duncan. He was 35 years my congressman here, dear friend of mine. I bust his chops all the time about it. You know, Jimmy, why? Well, you know, and once you get in the club, you're in the club.
Yeah, true that. Jesus Christ, Patrick, I think you need a tattoo.
I'm working on it. I still got some empty space here.
You're not going to start getting face tattoos and stuff, are you?
I think I'm just going to follow Post Malone's take and just start doing the bald head. Just figure I just tattoo hair back on. It's easier.
That's a good idea.
Teardrops, Patrick.
That's it.
I just saw a message
Not
pop
giving
up.
that away.
I just saw a message pop up. I didn't see who it was from. I think it was from you, Lynn. Yeah, about does it help to tweet them? Absolutely. Any form of communication, email, Facebook, text, tweet, over and over and over. Wear these folks out. I mean, just wear them out from every point of view, because that lets them know there's a universe of people that are concerned.
Yeah, absolutely blast their social media. We've been doing that quite heavily, and we've gotten responses from a lot of politicians through their social media, so it definitely works.
Hey, Michael, quick question for you. Are you there?
Ask.
Hey, well, thanks. So what? So the other day, I really got kind of heated by Schumer, like plugging the Save Our Stages thing. And I know, Brad talked to me about it, and he said it's all part of it's bringing light to our industry. But I mean, is that a concern? Because all of a sudden he's so gung-ho about Save Our Stages, and it's kind of like it just for me for a moment, because I was part of this whole red alert thing. It just like took the wind out of my sails. So, I mean, is it something we should be concerned of, that he's like, I'm the number one guy, I'm going to get this bill through? Is that just posturing, or what is that?
As I'm told, it's 100% pandering, posturing, whatever you want to call it, that he's doing this to buy votes in that area. I think I shared with you all before, the first time that he did this, which was about 6 or 7 days ago, all the folks on Broadway ate his lunch. They blew his office up, because I talked to his staff. And the quote from them was, "What's more New York than Broadway?" And Save Our Stages is simply for venues. It does nothing for producers and directors and actors and ITSE people, So there's a much bigger constituency on Broadway. I was really taken back when he did that Jerry Seinfeld thing, because that was sort of like another swipe at Broadway. But yeah, no, I don't have any fear. And again, I'm assured, whether it's Broadway or anything that as I've said before, they tell me we don't pick winners and losers. We don't take sides. We're going to provide a bucket of money for all of the people that are negatively impacted to come or take from.
Yeah, I will tell you, the local one guys that I'm working with on fashion are none too thrilled with Schumer right now after that comment. So it's a thing. They're blowing him up too. So
There's one other thing I forgot to throw out. Brad's here somewhere. Brad Nelms, there you are. We have a repository of videos, which you've probably seen from Red Alert. I will send out a link to that repository to all of you. If you could, download your favorite 1 or 2 or 3 to your social media. So let's get those things, if you haven't already, let's get them all over all of our social media, so that you've got Billy Bob Thornton and what's the guy's name? From
Bubbles.
Bubbles. There you go. The trailer park guy, Bubbles. There you go. Yeah. And all these pop stars that so graciously did that for us. Let's get a wider distribution on that.
Well, is that a good thing just in general? Like maybe all the Red Alert team needs to reactivate again, just like you guys did in such a quick fashion, and do a social media campaign with all the existing assets that are there. Because it
We're
did get
definitely
very quiet for
in
a
that
minute.
process, and it's still happening in the background. But yes, we're gonna come up with an action point for people in the next 24 to 48 hours.
Yeah, we actually have a meeting tomorrow, and we're going to talk about some of the go forward plans. And I mean, it's a big thing. So we've created a platform, and the last thing we want to do is let that slip away at this point. So yeah, it's very important. We have a meeting tomorrow to discuss it.
Are there any other questions, thoughts, or comments?
Michael, I got to say, and I know we say this all the time, but we really appreciate everything that you've done. And it's an industry, I've never seen anybody just step up and like take us and run. I mean, this is absolutely incredible what you're doing. And we really, from everybody that I've ever talked to, appreciate it. And I'm sure you get thanks, but probably not enough, because the amount of hours that you've put into this is just, thank you. We're all very grateful for you.
Thank you.
Hell yeah.
Thank you. And let me add to that, Patrick. And I put this in emails to many of you. And I mean this, it isn't me. I'm just sort of the guy that's sending out some emails. But that night of Red Alert, I watched the whole thing start to finish, and I watched it again on tape. And Patrick, I saw you at your gig. And I mean, I saw almost everybody in this call at a gig somewhere doing something during, before, and after. And it's phenomenal what we of an industry have done, and what we will continue to do to take this thing forward. And again, while I appreciate the kind words, I'm just sort of the guy that's organizing and sending out some emails. But every day somebody's doing something, and I wish it's me. I'm the one doing it. 3 people today asked me, "Who's on your staff?" Well, I am my staff for this, simply because you can't delegate these kind of things. But I wish that when it's over with, I'll go back and list all the garbage that went on. Like Marcel knows, Marcel's part of the Florida team that assails Rubio. We've got a New York team that assails, we've got different teams of people doing different things. Dave's doing some stuff out in California that he and I know about. And I don't know how many other people. Dave's the one that got that letter from Mayor Garcetti. I mean, there's so much of that you just don't know, because it's truthfully happening organically. But it's
save it for the outtakes of the movie.
Yeah, it's organic things that thousands of people are doing, and Marcel and I and Brad discussed this all during the Red Alert thing. There's things going on that we didn't know about. We'd phone each other and say, "Hey, did you know about the thing?" And so, no, we didn't know about it.
No, it's crazy. Well, and still today, I mean, the videos that are coming in, like I think he's on here, John Dixon from Houston. John, the Houston video that I just got, I think this morning or last night or something, it's all a blur, but is incredible. The Houston video is incredible. The San Francisco video is incredible. The Seattle videos were incredible. All of the videos are just like, we blow me away on a daily basis. It's just the stuff that we're getting is so friggin' cool. So.
Well, I'm personally upset because now I have
John friggin' Wiseman.
I got to be a fan of Bandit Lights, and I'm a mad fan of Bandit Lights right now. This is a real fucking dilemma for me.
That's a fancy shirt. John, your shirt matches your beard.
That's all gray. My shirt will be gray. My shirt will be completely gray in 2 weeks.
Yeah. John, does that shirt come in a men's print?
Yeah, they make it for men's print. I got a bowl of soup with it.
Nice.
That's pretty damn funny. John's trying to impress somebody today. I think John's in Beyonce's office or something.
Yeah, but what you don't know is I only have on a jock strap.
We don't want to know. It's good.
Excuse me while I talk out my mental eye.
Now we know. If I stand up, hit kill video.
Yeah. I actually saw a podcast a couple days ago. It was some like heavy metal podcast or something I was watching on YouTube. And the guy goes, "I swear I'm not wearing any pants." The host of this podcast, and the other guy goes, "Yeah, everyone always says that." He stands up. He doesn't even have underwear on. I'm just like, what? What just happened?
Seriously though, Michael, really, and everybody, you guys knocked it out of the park. Spectacular.
Well, the park is very large and we still have work to do. So, it's in the grand scheme of things, as much as it felt like a home run, I think it was a base hit, and we got to keep working, right? So that's
Marcel,
the
if I might, since there seem to be no questions, let me address the future as I see it.
Please.
I have met with a lot of managers, a lot of agents, a lot of artists, a lot of business managers, had a whole lot of conversations, and I've shared this with some of you. Let's suppose that the vaccines work as they're purportedly going to. Let's suppose that we get to January, and let's suppose that the medical situation is one where we can be open. You've also got the political situation. I believe once we get past the election, the political situation will largely calm down. And I believe by January, we should be in a position where the political situation shouldn't be an impediment to opening. But then we come up to what I call the social situation is everyone has a different opinion on when he or she will be willing, ready, or able to go back to work. And something that most people have not considered through all of this is you can have all the acts, all the artists, all the companies, all the production people, all the buses, you can have everything ready to go. But until we have every city, every state, the federal government, and the promoters, the AEGs, the Live Nations, the independent promoters, until all of those people are ready to go, and I'll use the word that the promoters are using, we will be struggling to go because they can't book a Swiss cheese tour. You know, it can't be play here but not there. And the last piece of that is the liability issue, because there are still those who come from a point of view of until there's complete liability indemnity, we're not going to play. And, you know, do we get there? Who knows? That's another issue. But all of that stuff leads to, and I was in a group of 16 people last Tuesday, a think tank of all of the above. I was the only production person in it. There was a bus person there, and this was live. The popular theory is we'll get back to work at some level January, February. We'll limp through March, a little bit better in April. And then in May, June, we should begin to do something close to a normal set of work. But as the promoters and the agents and the business managers and all of those people said, they do not believe that they will be profitable until 2022.
But you know what, Michael, the biggest problem that I think everybody probably knows but doesn't bubble up to the surface as well as it should is that I honestly believe that we'll be back to actually doing work. I mean, I'm working on a couple of big shows right now where they're actually we're gonna build some things, which is kind of surprising to me actually. But the biggest fucking problem is if we start in January, February, March, you've got Major League Baseball has been truncated and shoved into the next year. You've got the NBA has been truncated and shoved into next year. You've got the NFL, same problem, same thing. Then you add into South America, Europe, etc. Soccer / football has all been truncated into it. The biggest fucking problem is we're going to have venues, and those venues are going to be the few that are owned by AEG and the few that are owned by Live Nation, and sheds. You know, you're going to see a lot of sheds work next year because they own the venues and they want to fill them up. But as far as the rest of these goes, it's 50 pounds of shit in a 5-pound bag when it starts. Yeah. And that if everybody's well and everybody wants to work and nobody's got any trepidations and you're selling out, what the fuck are you selling out? Because you don't have the venues. The routing, because I've spent a lot of time with some agents on the last couple of days, the routing's the worst. It's just the worst. I've got a huge tour that's got a routing right now, starting in May in Europe, and the artist takes, it's 6 to 8 months for them to get ready to tour. Okay, like a Motley Crue is 9 weeks. All right, the other guys, the like Beyonce is 8 months.
Plus dieting for the singer. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. So just put him on a treadmill with a bag of cash in front of it. So and a stripper. So at the end of the day, you know, you've got if you want to do something in May, we're for say Beyonce, for example, or an artist like that has a huge production show, you have to start it today. You got to start it today because it takes 8 months to get it up and running and built and wardrobe and people and everything else. So like those dates that are held in May are prime real estate dates in stadiums in Europe. but they're going to fucking go away and they're going to get snapped up by soccer or whoever really fast. So, I mean, the biggest problem here now is where it gets down to operational. Fix the political problem. You know, I do disagree with you, Michael, on the political problem. I just, and I'm not being political at all. I'm just saying my experience in the last 10 years is that if Trump gets reelected, it's going to be 4 more years of arguing and impeachment. And if Biden gets elected, it's going to be a whole group of other problems that are going to come with that. You know, the divisiveness is just so fucked up right now that you can't get anything done. And these politicians, they're all getting their paychecks, Michael. Every motherfucker's getting their paycheck. And, you know, and fuck these guys. We couldn't live like this. It pisses me off. Can you tell?
John, what I meant by the political thing, I agree. I think regardless of who wins the election, that the political continuum will go on. I just don't think the weaponization from a political point of view of the virus will continue.
You're right. I think you're right.
I think that, you know, whatever you think about the virus, I think that both sides have politicized it. So I'm not picking a side, but you know, one side is no mask, open the world up, and the other side is wear a mask and we're all going to die. And I mean nothing ugly by that, but I think that all goes away, and I think the real medical condition will be viewed by both sides as the real medical condition.
Well, yeah, extremes need to go away on all items in all categories. You know, too much of anything, as I learned the hard way, is not a good thing.
There you go.
Right, Robert Roth? Can I get a hell yeah,
John? You're gonna get a big group laugh on this one. Yeah.
Michael, thanks again.
Thank you.
Yeah,
John.
thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Robert.
Hell yes.
Hey, Michael, as far as NAM goes with the call to action, do we know if NAM has done any type of touch campaigns for its members? And you know, I'm just trying to see, and I'm only thinking because their membership is so large, you know, I'm just trying to see the best kind of ways, of course, on positioning things. And do we know if they have sent anything, what those touches consist of?
Yeah, that call to action that I sent to you is actually the NAM call to action. They put it in 3 places on their website. They did an e-blast to their membership, and then they put it on their social media. So yeah,
Okay.
they've got it going out to a couple of 100,000 people.
Awesome.
Very cool.
So is the biggest challenge, once this starts to clear up, is the biggest challenge insurance at this point?
You mean liability?
I'm hearing that in Europe, they won't insure anything right now, so they're not booking dates.
Yeah. Let me take you to the film and television situation. I've had 2 Zoom calls with the Producers Guild, 1 with the Directors Guild, 2 with the Screen Actors Guild, and those people sit in a unique situation in that those of you that work in that industry know that virtually everyone on a film set is freelance. You're virtually everyone's 1099. Mm-hmm. So on the one, and that includes the producers, the directors, you know, the above the line folks.
Yeah, TV.
So those people are in a quandary because on the one hand, the studios will not begin filming until they are held harmless. So all of those freelancers want legislation passed that holds people harmless so the studios will open. But on the other hand, all of those same people don't want that legislation passed because if they get ill, they want to be able to sue the studio. So they're kind of in a catch-22. And I had this conversation directly with them, and I knew it before I got on the Zoom with the directors. And I threw it out there, and they all turned their mics on and went, "How did you know?" Well, I'd already heard it from the Broadway people, and to a point from some of the rock and roll and trade show people, because a lot of your freelance people, and even employees, even W-2 people, are at this moment are so concerned. They understand that it will take a liability relief to get whoever produces the event open. But then they go, well, darn, then I can't sue when I get sick. And you know, we all have our point of view on that. Mine is, well, you could never sue before. You could go get, you know, you could go get the mumps or the measles or flu or, you know, I don't know what. And you couldn't sue the producer or the studio. So, that's something that has to be hashed out. But to answer your question, Eric, yes, that's a conversation. And my opinion, I don't think they're going to get the liability issue resolved until March of next year, when Broadway has pushed back again, when the movie studios are still not going to open, and when some of your bigger tours are not going out, because there's a lot of big acts that, and John, you probably know some of them, that have said, we're not going out until there's a liability indemnity. We're just not. I mean, one of them is Elton John. I mean, he came right up and said it.
Yeah.
So he said it publicly. So, I think your smaller acts, your smaller events will take a risk, perhaps.
Well, that's because their pockets aren't deep enough to go after.
Exactly.
But I got TV shows. I got TV shows that are shooting now, major studio TV shows that are shooting right now.
But they're having everybody sign indemnity releases.
Yeah, but I'm talking more festivals and where big audiences and that kind of stuff, I think, is the challenge.
Well, now I heard, and this is complete rumor, but maybe someone on this call knows about it. Someone said to me, and I forget who it was, that Australia this week or next week was going to open up regular shows, 4,000 people and less. I honestly don't remember where I heard that. Does that ring a bell with anybody?
Yeah,
I saw that too.
And the UK is as well, because UK's got that quick testing thing they're doing outside the venue.
Well, I mean, right now the quick testing thing. So in the call that I had with Live Nation and a couple of major production and tour managers, there basically is that instant test right now, because we were talking about this about a month ago, and they said they had a test that was 5-minute results. And I said, that's fantastic. And they said, no, it's not. If you got 15,000 people, 5 minutes is too much. And I said, well, can't you just test them and move them into a corral and sell them alcohol and T-shirts? And they said, well, yeah, that's probably what we would have to do. But that's a short-lived deal. There's now the new one. It's an instant test. They've got the cost down. And I understand from Marty Hom, he won't mind me mentioning his name, Marty Hom and Bill Leibody, that we're going to maybe try this with the Foo Fighters coming up. But they have because we got some TV shoots with them, it should be FDA approved in 6 to 8 weeks. Now that's a fucking game changer right there. That's huge. It's not the end all be all, but it's working, and it's actually, this one is faster than the test they're using at the White House right now. So that's a crack in the wall that needs to happen. As you look back, there's small little steps, but then you turn around and you've walked a mile. So this has been a long 6 months. I see a lot of good things, like the Pittsburgh study last night that came out, where they had I don't know what it was, some kind of antibody that attaches to the COVID. It was all over the news last night from the University of Pittsburgh. And they said there's absolutely no side effects so far. It won't attach to a human gene. It attached to the COVID thing. I mean, something like that. If you think about the force and power and economics that are going against this disease to get a grip on it, this is going to get beat.
John, I used to have Miami Dolphins season tickets until I lost them in my divorce, and which is actually a good thing. It's a positive thing right now. So, but I keep getting emails from them. And today I got an email from them saying, hey, the Buffalo Bills are coming to town this weekend. And,
would you like to come to the game with Barbara?
No, there are still tickets left. Buy tickets now and come to the game. So I've been trying to figure out how many people they're letting into the stadium this weekend, but it almost sounds like full capacity. I don't know. Didn't
really they announce 15,000, Marcel?
I heard 18,000.
Yeah. Well, if they've announced 18,000 and they're still trying to sell tickets, that's a bit of a problem. But
yeah, they announced 15 a little while ago.
Isn't that
the Dolphins? The Dolphins or the NFL?
15,000 is a full house in Miami, isn't it?
But, yeah, that's true. Some teams, 15,000 is a pretty good game. For us, I mean, that's like playing I don't know, the Carolina Panthers or something. Yeah.
I don't know what the NFL is doing. Is the NFL in charge of the testing for the stadiums, or is that actually left to the stadiums?
It's a good question.
I don't personally know the answer. I mean, I don't know.
It's
this
team
is
by team.
Is it?
And talking to Jimmy Haslam, who owns the Browns, it's team by team. And of course, the team has to work with the state and the county and the city to jump the hoops and jump the hurdles.
Jesus, what a clusterfuck.
Yeah. But
well,
and let me share the University of Tennessee experience with you. And I'm not speaking out of school. As you all know, I'm a graduate and on the athletics board and every other board there. We decided 25% capacity, which is about 25,000 people. So I don't know what you all know about how college tickets work, but you have to pay a donation to buy a ticket. And in the case of the University of Tennessee, you pay $4,500 for 2 tickets, and then you pay the price of the ticket. So the $4,500 is a donation to the school.
Yeah.
And then there's the price of the tickets. Well, what most colleges have done this year, including University of Tennessee, is if you want to come this year, you still have to pay full whack, even though we went from 8 home games to 5 home games. And right off the bat, the ticket holders went, whoa, wait a minute, you should reduce the price. Well, we're not, and most other schools aren't. So guess what? We thought we have roughly 65,000 season ticket holders out of 100,000 seats. We thought that we would not get through all of the season ticket holders before we sold out. Guess what? We got through all of the season ticket holders and didn't sell 25,000 tickets. So now we're trying to get just people to buy tickets. Now, I don't think that's a function of COVID fear. I think that's a function of how many people are going to want to pay that kind of money and then go get 5 games. And you got to think about one more thing. What do they know? They know games are getting canceled because, you know, this past week they had Baylor canceled one of their games. So they're going, well, shit, if there's 5 home games and 1 gets canceled, I'm paying all this money for 4 home games. So I think it's more economic than it is fear of COVID.
You know what, Michael? I'm just going to come sit in your fucking box again.
The boxes are full. No, I don't mean that. I'm saying the boxes are at full capacity. I didn't mean you're not welcome.
I've never cared if I was welcome or not.
Oddly enough, the boxes are not at all restricted. So that just shows you how money works, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
True.
That's quite an example there.
Dolphins sent out an email this week to all Dolphin fans, essentially showing COVID restricted boxes where all the boxes are taken care of and they're isolated. So the teams seem like they're trying to do something, but it just seems like we should follow kind of. I mean, it's the NFL, right? I mean, if they're trying to
the boxes are the big money. The boxes are the big money, and they're it's family. That's the top tier. Those things are going to be fucking full everywhere. Doesn't matter.
True.
But I think, John, to your point again, we're going to limp through till June. And if you remember back to 9/11, remember the first 3 months at 9/11, not only did you go through the metal detector, but they patted you down and you couldn't carry anything. Remember there were 53 rules to go to an airport. And now it's just down to go through a metal detector.
Yeah,
and
but
now they've even got the known traveler number and the clear path. I mean, they've got easy ways for you for money to jump the line.
Michael, let me ask you a question though. So why can't we do a show or a tour or a festival or whatever it's called? Is it because of liability? Is it because of the fact that we won't sell any tickets? Is it because of, like, what do you think is what's holding us back? Is it the actual virus or is it something else?
You've wandered into opinion, but I think
I did. I'm only asking opinion at this point.
Between now and January, it's all the above. It's politics, it's social, it's the virus, it's the unknown, it's fear. It's fear between now and January. I do believe January, February, most of that dissipates. And I think then people are going to start getting back to life. And I also think, and all of you know this in this phone call, you all experience this, that going forward, you just get fed up and you go, you know what? I don't care if I die or not. I'm going to go play golf. I'm going to go to a show. I'm going to go do whatever.
Well, I'll tell you what else too, is I was reflecting back on the 9/11 thing. And I think Marcel and Craig Burris and I were all at High End at that time, and it was devastating. I remember standing at Earl's Court at the Plaza show and watching the fucking things hit, and just like, you got to be kidding me. And I remember the conjecture, because right after that we had I think we had about, between our whole group of sales guys, we had about 23 ships, cruise ships, cancel immediately their builds, their ships, everything. So there was, in one day we took, or over a 1 week period between like September like 16th to the end of the month, we lost like 23 $3 million contracts or $500,000 contracts, whatever it was. And then I remember just sitting around thinking and talking like this, and saying, my God, no, people were not, they were thinking the cruise ship was not going to happen because it was such a great target to hit, right? You think you're going to drive a plane into a cruise ship. Then the next thing was, well, who the fuck's going to want to be at an arena, and who's going to want to be in a stadium? And then, all of those thoughts. And then you got to where you just said, Michael, you just said, I don't give a fuck, I'm going out, right? And so I think we're in the beginning parts of that. How is this going to turn back on? And it's a lot of deja vu from 9/11, I mean, Jesus, we went through, I mean, Craig and Marcel can back me up on this, but the High End, I think we had about 615 employees at that time. And I'd say probably 100 days later, we had about 189, 190.
Yeah, but here's the challenge with that, John. And I mean, I think you're exactly right. But the challenge is, like, we, as a nation right now, we are so divided that American spirit has just kind of, dissipated a little bit, because I don't know. I mean, because we're divided, because everyone hates.
That doesn't change the desire. That doesn't change the desire and the imperative to get out and do shit.
The beauty of this, Marcel. The beauty of this, Marcel, is that even though we are divided, I think we were probably divided back then a little bit. But at the end of the day, having a common enemy, which is bad economy and the virus, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, everybody hates the fucking virus. And when that gels, it's going to be powerful.
Well, I will tell you, I actually got a call from Royal Caribbean. They're looking to start up December, January. So speaking of cruise ships, at least they're trying to get new builds and retros done, and they want to sail by January 1.
Well, I
do know people have cruises booked for January that haven't canceled yet.
I wouldn't get on a fucking cruise ship in the best of times, so I can't comment.
Well, whatever. I'm just saying, like you mentioned, you're right.
Titanic 1, Titanic 2, Titanic 3.
Board the floating toilet.
Right now in cruise ship world, there's only new builds going on. There's zero retrofits, guys.
Yeah, I'm waiting to. I had a retro that got postponed. It will probably happen in January, I was told. So.
Well, I will add one comment relevant.
Is that a White Claw? Is that a White Claw, Matt?
Thank you, Marcel, for mentioning that. I was about to jump on it.
I'm on a gig. I can't drink.
That's a period.
Period. Oh, Jesus. If there's anything worse than a White Claw, it's a period.
Oh, please.
Oh, my God.
They're a corporate
Jesus,
sponsor, and
Matt.
it's tasty as fuck. Look at that. Water.
It's refreshing.
One of the biggest keys going forward is seeing people out working. Like, the more people see other people out working, it will generate more energy towards job.
I completely agree with you. I agree with that completely, Chris.
I mean, I'm actually part of the first live event in New York City since March, which is a great feeling.
Yeah.
And
I actually wanted to hear about that, Matt. So what are you doing?
It's New York Fashion Week. It's really scaled down. It's actually on the roof of the venue that we would normally do our shows in. And we had to get a COVID test within 5 days of showing up for work. They take our temperature at the door. They give us a wristband. We have to fill out a survey every day. Everyone has worn their mask, even outside. It's really safe. Everyone's been
that's
great.
the key right there, is people feeling like it's safe, No reports of a bunch of people getting sick.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, we won't know,
publicize that
but
over and
we won't.
over.
We won't know for a couple weeks, but I will tell you that everyone had to get tested before coming in within 5 days. And
the 5 days is huge because we just did this Metallica shoot, and everybody had to be quarantined for 14 days before they did the shoot. So
yeah,
there you go. It's chopping itself down. That's
but
huge.
Yeah, there's
this
agreed.
actually got a blessing from Cuomo. They went directly to Cuomo's office and said, "We need to do this." They worked with them. He said, "As long as you maintain
and
the
he made
guidelines."
exceptions for them from people coming in out of town, and
Yeah,
so
well, they got some beds at the rest homes that are open now.
Yeah. But the local one guys, they were all tested. They felt safe. They were just happy to work. They were, doing the fist bumps and the elbow bumps.
And if you repeatedly get tested, these are all covered by insurance?
My insurance covered it. I didn't pay a cent. I went to a city MD. I got because I was in France and Spain working on a cruise ship when we got evacuated, when this all got weird. They tested me for antibodies. I got my results back the next day. That was a negative. And my COVID results I got back Wednesday afternoon, Thursday morning. And those were negative too. So all good.
Yeah, we just did an Alicia Keys shoot that had a rapid test on Friday for the entire crew that took 15 minutes for each person, and then they just took our temperature for the next 4 days and had a sign up thing that we had no ill effects. So that's kind of what we're seeing normally right now.
Yeah, I
Was
mean,
that
same.
through an MD or
Hmm?
did they have like a medical or EMT on site to do that or?
Yep.
Oh,
Yep,
no.
they had a COVID compliance officer, an EMT, and a nurse that did the nasal swab. And yeah, it was,
Yeah,
Say
we
again?
had we have a rock doc. He works for a company in San Francisco that does medical for tours and stuff like that. And he's out here, COVID compliance officer. He told us some really interesting stuff. He told us there's a study going on right now where, they're saying that you don't have antibodies after 3 weeks or 3 months or whatever it is. But he said some antibodies they're discovering go dormant. So it could be one of those things that if you get infected again, your body reactivates those antibodies. So you actually won't lose those antibodies. There's a study that's being done right now about that. So positive thinking.
there's also a study that this could be more about T cells than antibodies. So there's a bunch of studies out there, but all the vaccine studies, just so everybody knows right now, are doing very, very well. So it's more likely than not that we will have at least 3 major vaccines by December of this year.
It also looks like your hair's growing back a bit. Your hair's growing back a bit, Chris.
Is it cool?
I think so. I think
I'll
your hair's
take it.
growing
I'll
back a bit.
take
It looks
Well,
good.
I mean,
It's looking good.
I've gotten both my shots. No ill side effects at all. So
good.
Besides my hair falling out.
I
think it looks better.
Were you AstraZeneca? Did you do the AstraZeneca
No,
one?
I'm in the Pfizer. I'm in the Pfizer one, which is the only one not government sponsored.
Got it.
So,
Thank you for being guinea pig.
I'm doing a TV shoot in Grand Rapids in October, and they're actually sending us tests at home 6 days before we leave to mail in, and then flying us in 3 days before our load in to get tested on site.
Yeah, so they're
Yeah,
sending you
I
the spit one. Are they sending you the spit one? Do you know?
I don't know what they're sending yet.
Yeah, they've been sending out here on our jobs. So we get the spit one in advance, and then we walk onto site and we get the blood one, and we wait for 10 minutes just to make sure that 3-day window doesn't affect us going back on site. Is
My
what we've
God,
been
would you
seeing.
listen to this conversation? How fucking
Right?
old are we?
Yeah, we sound like a
Never
bunch
thought
of friggin' old women.
Yeah, I got the spit test. Yeah. Fucking
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Like
I would
being
have
in
never
Tucson,
thought it
Florida.
would have got to this. This is not backroom lounge talk.
No, it's not.
Bunch of old men.
I mean,
It's not.
the great news is that we all know that we can do these things and go back to work. So we're halfway there. We just got to get audiences again.
Like I said, it's just
There you go.
it's just slowly moving forward, and it's like walking that mile. You turn around and you're halfway there. You just didn't even know it.
John, what the hell is the
that's
deal
what I
with
think
that
it is.
shirt?
It's
Really,
just gonna
where
keep
did you get
building
that
up.
shirt, John?
Salvation Army.
I
He's
just
lying.
have never seen you in
That was
such a shirt.
that was a birthday gift. So that's a fucking $100 Lululemon shirt. What I have to wear it
Lululemon.
for
I
my
don't
birthday.
know about this.
It's like a 2-for-1 at Hot Topic.
Yeah.
I don't know about this shirt,
Fuck
John.
you, Dearson.
Diana, I think you made a good point a second ago about knowing we can get back to work, and please don't anybody be upset by what I'm about to say, but we just witnessed a shift in the social / political will to do something, and that was the Big Ten football. Because three weeks ago, it was just absolutely positively the Big Ten can't play football, and that was more of a political decision than anything else. Well, then when the SEC and the Big 12 and the ACC didn't tumble, then as we all know, the Big Ten players, the Big Ten parents, all sorts of people rose up, and all of a sudden now the decisions changed, and they challenged they challenged the people that made the decision, which were the university presidents and the league commissioner, and they didn't really have any firm footing other than, oh my gosh, COVID's out there. And I'm not making light of COVID. It's just that there was no science behind it. And the truth of the matter is college athletes are in lockdown, to use the show business term. They're in a bubble during the football season. So they're going to be a lot healthier in the bubble during the football season than they are as students. And we saw a shift, and we've now seen the Big Ten come back online to play football. And I believe we're going to see that kind of a shift in critical thinking as we go through September, October, November, December, January, February. And I believe by the time we get to the end of February, assuming that there is no rampant rise in hospitalizations and deaths, I believe that the social will to get back together will be there, because human beings are social creatures, and you can't overcome that.
Yep. So just keep sharing the fact that people are working, show pictures of people working safely, keep that energy going. You know,
Well,
that energy is key.
That is key. And I actually saw something yesterday. There's a New York production company that did at the One Vanderbilt building, were not wearing masks, and a bunch of Local One blasted them on social media. So just be careful what you post, because that shit will put us in lockdown again, and we won't be able to do this.
Yeah,
So,
they're taking a lot of grief for that.
Yeah, I'm not going to mention the company. Y'all, if you're in the know, you know. But it's a serious problem.
Hold on. What happened without naming?
So there is a venue that opened, or a building that opened, and a certain production company provided gear and their shop guys to load it in with Local One, and they were not wearing masks, or they had masks around their chin. And unfortunately, the owner of the company was photographed without a mask on. And when I was talking to one of the account reps to make them aware of the Facebook post, he said that's so fucked up, because in their work boxes, their shop manager made sure that when COVID hit, that there were masks, there were gloves, there was hand sanitizer. And apparently the Local One guys were telling them, put your masks on, and they weren't listening. And a Local One member went to Local One, and they didn't do anything about it. So he decided to blast it all over Facebook. And that's the shit that's going to get us locked down really quick. I mean, I'm not condoning what they're doing. I think they should wear masks, but fuck, like, don't put it on, like blast it another way, but not on social media.
Look, I'm not a mask guy, but guess what? As a common courtesy to other people, I put on a mask when I go places. I don't want a business owner to get in trouble, and I don't think that I have to make some statement to be a big fucking loud prick all the time to do that. So I mean, you know, why someone wouldn't put on a mask to have the ability to work, even though I'm anti-mask. There's certain lines of just society and civility that you have to follow, or fucking stay home.
How does Matt? Do you guys not? Matt, you're muted, by the way. Do you guys not have to have COVID compliance officers on site? Like,
no, there are multiple COVID compliance officers. Like yesterday, we did.
Well, that's a waste of fucking money, isn't it?
Well, I mean, if we have a team that checks people at the door, so like we do have minimal guests, they're VIPs. They have to get COVID tests. They have to get screened, go through the same process. We had a Rebecca Minkoff show on.
Yeah. I guess so your show's doing it, but I'm talking about this one where the guys weren't wearing.
Oh, yeah. I'm not exactly sure the details. I just saw the post. I think that if Cuomo saw that, there'd be some serious fucking repercussions on us.
Yeah, sure. Okay, great. You can cry that all day long, but is it not mandated in New York that you guys have to have COVID compliance officers for any of these events, or is that just
I don't know the details. I just know that to do it right, we did it with a COVID compliance officer. We basically said whatever needs to get done to make this happen, and they flew the guy in from San Francisco. So I mean, he's a top dude. So I don't know the details because I'm not I'm just the lighting designer. I'm not the the ops team. But I mean, it's definitely something that needs to. I think for now, if it means we get back to work, bring in COVID compliance officers, do whatever it takes.
So has anybody else had an experience with any small event that they've been fortunate enough to be working on as of late, where there wasn't a push to bring in a COVID compliance officer? And I only ask this because the few productions that we have been working on here at the activity, every one of them has had a mandated COVID compliance officer associated with the production. I'm curious if this is not something that producers are doing elsewhere.
Well, I didn't see one at the Chainsmokers show I did, but nobody said they were the COVID compliance officer, and I wasn't asking for them.
Wasn't that technically labeled a private event?
It was I think so. I mean, the public was able to go in, so I don't know. But,
it was a big phony baloney like gray area with that. Apparently.
Patrick,
because
there's been some films in LA that, like indie films, that have been trying to get around having COVID compliant officers, and people have walked off the set because of this.
Yeah, I'm sure.
I recently did a live broadcast in LA. No compliance officers, no testing, but it was a closed set, very small number of people. There were no rules or regulations, just wear a mask.
I think you're going to find a lot of producers, particularly as Patrick Whalen mentions, indie films where you've got such lower budget. The one thing that we have been noticing is that the costs of doing full COVID compliance are astronomical at this point for a production. I mean, current project I'm working on in a couple of weeks is a $500,000 just for COVID compliance, which is, outrageous. And thankfully, the client at the end of the day doesn't care about the money. But I think you're going to find a lot of these that are cutting shortcuts here every chance they get.
I mean, I'm doing the closing night dinner, and they've limited it. I mean, this is it. It's 8 tables, and it's all socially distanced. It's it's a different world. I mean, when we do these shows, it's like they're packed tables. They're these 10 tops, and there are like 20 of them. It's just everything is just scaled down. We'll do it slow, but it's still a paycheck for a couple of days.
And the way things are right now, it's really irresponsible not to do that. We have COVID compliance. I mean, to get in and out of the PRG building, I'm down there every probably 3 weeks. We have to go through certain protocol. There's only so many people allowed in the building. We have a couple XR stages in town and in Vegas. And I mean, really the long and the short of it is it's stupid and bad business not to do that. Because if we get somebody sick on there, I got a number one, in the best case scenario, if someone tests positive and they've slipped through, I have to send them home. I have to pay them for 2 weeks while they sit at home. And then I have to have someone else come in and I have to pay them to do that guy's job. So, it is what it is, which is one of my least favorite terms in the world, but it fits here. And it's just fucking stupid business not to do it right now. You're just opening yourself up for, the margins are tight right now. The last thing you need is like 2 or 3 people at home getting paid doing nothing for 2 weeks, right? While you backfill them here. It's just dumb not to do it right.
I mean, I'll say what's cheaper, the lawsuit, because they can still sue right now, or getting the compliance officer. I mean, that's really what it comes down to, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, but also to all of that. And something that I really want to, as I pull my mask down, something that I really want to push for, and that is in a realistic COVID protocol, is an after test. You do a gig for 5 or 6 days, everybody's tested, everybody's temperature's taken. Viacom did this for the VMAs. A few days later, I got an email that said, please go take a test again. We'll pay for it, and communicate with us when you test, if you test positive or negative, so that if by chance somebody 2 days later tests positive, they can at least reach out to the crew and say, hey, somebody you worked with just tested positive, please go get tested. And that way, at least you know if you need to isolate again, or if you need to stay away from your grandparents, whatever decisions you can at least make an informed decision. And that's that's an important part of this process that a lot of producers are going to neglect, because it's going to be after the gig is over. But it'll really go a long way towards keeping our people safe.
Part of the reason that we also did the after the show testing was, what we don't want is it to show up and then the show gets blamed, where we know 3 days later, if we've done it 72 hours after they've been there, odds are you're clear. Doesn't stop you from picking it up somewhere else.
Right.
And that's
so it helps everybody. Right. But it made me feel really safe that they were doing that as well. So it's a very smart thing, but I don't think it has occurred to everybody, or that anybody cares, as many people care as we want it to. So.
We went quiet.
Yeah.
I have that effect.
I was going to say that, yeah, I wanted to talk about the Tribute and Light in New York.
Oh, good.
Yeah, because the whole thing, that reason
Great job.
The whole reason it was canceled is because they were worried about the crew. At the end of the day, they brought in 2 people, EMTs, a COVID person. Basically, you had to sign a waiver when you came in the first time, and then every day you had to get your temperature checked, and you had to get an armband. We had to wear masks all the time. We had goggles or glasses we would have to wear when we were working with 6 feet within 6 feet of each other, which was, I don't know, we did and we didn't. But I mean, we did practice social distancing. Also, instead of having the usual catering, we had boxed meals, boxed lunches, and then they had all this area cordoned off, and you had a table and a chair, and you could sit there by yourself and eat, but you couldn't sit across from anybody. So they did pretty well in it. And just so you know, today I actually went to a CVS and had a nasal COVID test, and it came back negative, which I figured it would. So so far so good. I haven't heard about anybody on the team.
Is a good idea. That follow-up test is a good idea, because then it kind of ends that job or package or whatever you were doing at that time if you get a test afterwards.
Well, exactly. And I my wife's mother-in-law lives with us, and she's 90 years old, so I want to be very careful now. I social distance from her, and she appreciates my hug, so that was another reason I got the test. I figured I'd be home for about 4 days and then get it, but I spent about 3 weeks in New York, and I just posted on Facebook about, I was in taxis and in Ubers and subways, and I worked with about 40 people, and I went out to restaurants and bars and walked around Manhattan, so I still wore a mask, and I did social distance, and I tested negative, so it made me it was a relief. As I said, I wasn't surprised, but it's good to know.
Yeah, actually, Cosmo, the best part of that was you guys did boxed lunches and dinners. We've been fighting that for about 5 months with our clients. Once we told them that, hey, I got 35 guys here on set, and you're going to give them an hour to run around downtown LA, how much can they bring back? Because we're not going to retest them after lunch.
Yeah, right.
That is huge amount of number of people that you're not getting exposed on each site, and all of us should be doing it. And it was a big fight, and now we're doing it. It's a great idea.
I mean, it wasn't an elaborate meal, but it was a sandwich for lunch, and it was a hot meal for dinner. I mean, they did a great job, and nobody complained. I mean, everybody was happy to be working, especially that job. Everybody was happy to be there, and I got to say though, it's really you know, when you're laboring, it's really hard wearing a mask. It really does cut down the oxygen.
Yeah, and the best thing that I heard in the last couple of weeks was the crew actually saying, "Oh, I can't wait to have catering," which was the funniest thing I've heard from half of our crew. It was ridiculous.
Cosmo, just to say it again for the 1,000th time, thank you so much for what you did. And, you know, Cosmo did this as a volunteer. He wasn't paid.
Well, no, I got paid in the end. They paid me.
Whatever. You got paid in the end, like this, right? So you didn't get paid much. But the bottom line is that you know, Cosmo went and did this, and you know, I think Cosmo's kind of waving our flag right now, like Cosmo's the dude. And so it was incredible. The pictures that you were posting every day were incredible. And, you know, all those pictures, like looking up at all those beams of lights were so incredible. I appreciate it so much, man.
The slow-mo was awesome.
Well, I mean, you know, being there, you know, I go there almost every year anyway, but like you said, for this particular time, what we're going through in this country, number one, and number two, the fact that they canceled it. You know, being there, it was like a win. It was. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it now. It was like we did it, and I just actually texted a couple of the crew bosses that I got tested negative for coronavirus, and I said, so you tell them that we could do it, and we did do it. You know, because that was their fear. Oh, they're going to get coronavirus. That's why we're not going to do it. Well, we didn't.
And I have to say something about Cosmo that because he left on Sunday night before a red alert restart, he also had me on the phone with him several times in a day. So he had that too.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely.
It all turned out good. So.
Lynn, you're kind of like you're kind of like Cosmo Light.
Square with Matt. That was fantastic.
I'm kind of like Cosmo's what?
You're kind of like Cosmo Light. You're like Cosmo Junior.
Could I throw something out there before we end? I don't know if we are, but
Michael.
One thing I wanted to share with this group, which I've shared last time, and I do truly believe this from the bottom of my heart. This is a business of people, and we've all come together, and it's been phenomenal. There is no this company or that company at this point. We're all in this together, and I hate that expression, but we are. And the most important thing going forward from a month ago is everyone's mental health, because everybody on this call at this moment's in a different space. Those of you that are lucky enough to have a few day rates here and there, you're in one space. There's a lot of people that have no day rates. There's a lot of gals and guys that have had no income. There's a lot of people that are perhaps on this call that are on unemployment. I mean, we all sit in different places. Mental health between now and February is going to be so very important. And one of the things that I'm involved with in Nashville is bringing together Music Cares and the CMA and the Grammys and all these different people to create a super site for health and mental health for our industry going forward. And I know there's a lot of endeavors out there, but getting all that pulled together, because the mental anguish of not being able to craft your trade is extraordinarily phenomenal. And everybody on this call, I think, knows that now. But as time marches forward, it's going to get worse, not better. And let's keep that in the forefront of our mind, and know that when we get beyond this round of legislation, this round of funding, I'm going to continue on the next round of funding, excuse me, but also on this mental health and overall health thing, because right now, you know, we've got 10 million plus people that have fallen in the cracks from the financial point of view, the health point of view, and the mental health point of view. So all of this is going to be something we're going to have to deal with collectively between now and June of next year.
100%. Thank you so much for saying that, Michael. Yeah.
Anyway, guys, I got to go set up some austerity.
I actually have to go. Believe it or not. So
good to see you all.
Say goodbye.
Hey, Cosmo, that's a cool friggin' background you got going on there. Like your whole AC/DC thing. That's so awesome.
Well, it's my AC/DC wall. So,
where's your Judas Priest wall? Do you have one?
No, I have a Scorpions wall, and I have a Genesis wall, and a.
I want a Judas Priest wall. Could you make a Judas Priest wall? You need a 6-wall office. Like
Cosmo's kind of a badass.
If you pay Cosmo, he'll come to your house and build you a Judas Priest wall.
Okay.
But I have nothing to build a Judas Priest wall for.
No, he could totally do it for you. He put all that stuff on Etsy already.
Yeah, I mean, that stuff's just on Etsy. Come on.
Yeah. All right, everyone.
Look at that. There's
So
John.
much.
Good to see you.
John
Yeah,
fucking
Broderick,
Broderick right
Broderick is here. John effing Broderick.
JB in the fucking house.
JB.
John.
How you
Does
making
your mic work, John?
How you doing that? He keeps putting up fucking emojis. Of course he's doing that. Hi, JB.
He's not going to answer.
Gary Lambie's in the house too.
There he is.
Gary Landry,
Yeah.
John
Here I
Broderick,
am.
these fucking rock stars.
Peter Morse, John Wiseman, Marcel Fairburn, Patrick Thierson.
Yeah, that fella's
Bunch
good.
of assholes.
In
It's a
fact, I think the
whole
last
bunch
time
of
I was with
assholes.
John, I think we was on 9/11.
Yeah. You know what? I got to go get a new shirt. Now I'm all fucking worried about it. See y'all later.
Your shirt is ridiculous, John. I'm just saying.
Go get that thing tested.
Hell, man.
See you guys later.
Bye, everybody. Have a
Bye-bye.
good night.
Bye,
Have
everyone.
a good week.
See ya.
Bye,
Love
guys.
you all.
Be
Thanks,
well.
Michael.
Have a good
Bye,
week.
JB.